Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the About Small Business podcast. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please can you like and subscribe to the channel. That is going to let you know anytime a new podcast drops. In this episode, I'm going to actually be speaking to Clare Davis, who is a travel counsellor. And Clare, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast with me.
Thank you for having me.
And now, travel counsellor is a unique take on a travel agent. Have I got that right?
That is right, yes.
That's right, brilliant. So essentially, I'm assuming that you've enjoyed travel, you enjoy your holidays, and you decided to make that passion a reality for your day-to-day life.
Definitely. I mean, I've been in travel for 22 years now.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, was it something that you, like when you were at school, you always enjoyed your holidays?
No, I
Really?
wanted to be a vet when I was at school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very different to what I've ended up doing.
Can you tell me a little bit about that then? Just sort of going back, because those sort of childhood dreams, I suppose.
Yeah, my grandparents had a farm, so I spent a lot of my
Controversial
weekends.
topic at the minute.
Yes. I spent a lot of my weekends and holidays on the farm, helping my granddad, looking after the animals, and I just loved it.
Right.
And
So hence developing a love for the...
love for that, yes. And I used to see the vet quite a lot when she came up on the farm and saw what she did, and I loved it. But unfortunately, when I got to A level, to do my A levels, I just found the sciences too hard, and the maths. It was just all too hard for me.
Right. Okay. So, so with the maths and the sciences, presumably that wasn't an aptitude at GCSE. Did you do okay in those?
I did okay in GCSE,
Yeah.
but I needed to do really well at A level to be able to
Right.
pursue the veterinary qualification.
What sort of grades did you need to
I
be a
think you
vet?
needed A's and B's.
A's and B's, which
And I was just struggling in
I think
general.
I
So
was going to say I think most people find A levels a big jump
Oh, massive.
from GCSE, don't they?
Yeah, huge jump. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock.
Right.
So then I suddenly didn't know what I wanted to do.
I was going to say, was that quite a major disappointment?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd had my heart set on it for years and years and years, and so then I just went, you know what, I'd like to travel. Oh, maybe if I get a job in travel, I could travel a lot.
Right. Okay.
And that's where my decision came from.
So did you presumably if you were pursuing a vet's career, you'd have been looking at going to university? Were all those plans on hold from then, or did you go to university?
I still went to university.
Still went to university. What did you study?
Yep, I did a HND in business and travel management, and then I topped it up to a degree with business management.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're kind of laying those foundations. So it's quite a definite decision, and quite focused actually for having experienced quite a bit. I mean, how major was the disappointment to you, not being able to go into the?
I mean, I can't really remember it now, but I know that I think between the vet decision and the travel decision, I had said to my mum, well, I'll just go and work on the farm with my granddad. And she told me that wasn't an option because I did want to follow that route. So
Yeah.
I imagine that it was quite a bad disappointment when it happened. But I can't remember once I'd made the decision about travel and going into it ever being disappointed.
Right.
It never didn't feel
Okay.
right.
So I mean that's quite good, but I suppose just your first hurdle, I suppose, and then, well, I suppose reality there's qualifications, which is I don't know if that's going to be the case in the future. I don't know if maybe you rethink about qualifications and things like that. But certainly, you've gone into your degree then, quite contented with
really.
your decision.
Yep.
Were you straight from A levels into your degree course, or did you take any
Yes.
time out to travel?
No, didn't take any time out to
Right.
travel.
It's an interesting one. I just remember because when I was at university, it just struck me how many people I met that had taken a year out
Yeah.
to travel, and
Yeah.
and that wasn't something that you'd done, was it not?
It wasn't. I didn't have the confidence at that age to do it. My eldest daughter has just had a year out and been travelling.
Wow.
And I'm so proud that she's had the confidence to do it because I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And it's something that I didn't do because of the lack of confidence.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, a lot of people do take the year out, and I think it's quite an educational thing to do for them before they go off to university.
So is it still a regret that you didn't do that, or?
I don't regret it, no, because I know that the person I was back then, I didn't have the confidence to do it.
It just wasn't right for you?
It wasn't right for me, no, so I don't regret not doing it.
Okay.
I know that I'm travelling now and that I'll continue to travel.
Yeah.
So
It's I mean, one thing I will say, I mean, I've been to quite a few countries, done quite a bit of backpacking myself. It's one thing I don't think anyone ever regrets.
no.
It's whether you have a great time or not, if you do it, you've got stories.
Yeah.
You've got memories.
Yeah.
That will stay with you till till the very degenerative stages of our lives. I mean,
Yeah.
it is something that I'm passionate about myself. I
Yeah.
love going new places. I love airports.
Me too.
It's
Not
yeah.
everybody says that either.
I don't know. It's just there's something about the airport whenever I'm there. It's just you get that buzz. I'm exactly the opposite with hospitals.
Yeah, I probably
Don't
am as
like them,
well.
but no, that's great. So can you tell me a little bit about your course then, and how and what you studied, the kind of thing that you did, and like
Wow,
sort of
you're
how.
really asking me to delve back into my
Oh,
memory here.
I want to know everything I possibly can.
Wow. So the first 2 years were the HND, which was the business and travel management, and I know there was a lot more travel units across those 2 years than there were in the third year when I topped it up to the degree. And every travel unit that I did, I just loved. I loved everything that I was learning about the travel industry. But there was also business elements to it as well.
Right.
Things like accountancy, which I find boring still and struggled with that. And then I remember in the third year for the degree, we had a law unit, which again, I mean, I was fine on paper. If I could sit and talk about it and research it and have it in front of me, I enjoyed. But when it came to the exam, having to, remember dates and names and
Yeah.
things like that, it just doesn't excite me. So it's not gonna, I don't find it easy.
No, which is fair enough. I mean, I think you're either the admin focused or you're not. From what you're saying, you like myself, I'm not either
No.
really, as you can probably see from the state of my office. But so in terms of like, I mean, the accountancy, I suppose, is relatively straightforward. What that involves, obviously, your tax implications, the business. Just with you mentioning about the laws, what kind of thing were you finding out as regards to the laws?
I think we were studying employment law, which I
Right.
did find interesting, but it just didn't excite me.
No.
And as I say, when I came to the exam, I struggled.
Was there anything specific to travel in
Not
the
that I
laws?
can remember.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure we did touch on travel
Yeah.
laws as well, but I can't remember. No.
I suppose it's be quite a difficult one to get into too much, because you've obviously with travel you've got laws from different countries as well that you
Yeah.
kind of need to be aware of to a
Yeah.
degree. But no, that's so you've done your degree. Um, any sort of travelling, or was it mainly sort of holiday focused travels during that time?
For
Or?
me personally, yeah, it was just holiday focused travels during that time, but it was when I started traveling without my mum. So it was when I started to just, I guess, see that the world was huge and there was a lot of places to explore.
Yeah.
And I was excited about doing that on my own.
What kind of places sort of excited you the most?
Well, I spent a month in Canada. I'm lucky enough to have family over there.
Wow,
When I
whereabouts in
was about
Canada?
19 or 20. British Columbia.
That's the bit I didn't go to.
Yeah,
Everyone says
amazing.
that's the nicest bit.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to take my family back there last summer.
Oh wow.
And we spent 3 weeks out there, and yeah, they loved it as well. And I hadn't been back since I was 20 when I'd done the month out there.
Wow.
Well, not to BC anyway.
Yeah. Were you able to work when you were out there when you were 20, or
No, I just went for a holiday.
just an
Very
extended
lucky.
holiday?
I was still a student. It was in between, I think, my second and
Right,
third
got
year. Yeah, my uncle just said, "Come out."
Ramping up
And
the
so I
over.
went
Mind you,
out.
if suppose if you're staying with your uncle, then
Yeah.
it's not gonna be quite as.
No, and we travelled around as well, which again gave me a new insight into that kind of travelling. Because up until then, I mean, I used to do Channel Island holidays with my mum and her husband. And then when I hit 18, I did a couple of package holidays,
Right.
but hadn't really done anything a bit unusual. So that was the
Okay.
first kind of introduction to travelling around and moving different places and seeing a lot of different sites.
Were you enjoying the package holidays as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
As the young people sort of party in
yeah.
1830. Did you do any like sort of the tour guide or that kind of thing, or?
No, never did repping. Never
No.
even entered my mind to do it, to be honest. But I think because I was quite happy at home, I didn't have that drive at that point to be overseas.
It's interesting because straight away you're striking me as someone that is more genuine travel than the holiday side of it. Is that a fair
Yeah.
assessment?
Definitely.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I don't,
So,
to me, and don't get me wrong, I know that these destinations do appeal to people, but
Yeah.
the huge all-inclusive, all singing, all dancing kind of holidays are not for me. We've been to Cyprus as a family 3 or 4 times, and we go to this little village that has
Yeah.
3 tavernas, hardly any tourists, a village pool, and it's just the complete opposite of our everyday life, and I love that.
Which part of Cyprus?
We fly into Larnaca and it's about a 45-minute drive from
Right,
the
so
airport.
not the Turkish part.
No, the Greek
Right, got
side,
you.
yeah.
So no,
But yeah,
that's
I do prefer the much more authentic.
yeah. I mean, we've been just with having the kids. We've been to like some of the all inclusive, and it's been just a nice staple destination.
Yeah, and they do the trick, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't not do one, if I
No,
wanted a
no,
last
it's
minute or
they serve a
just
purpose, I
they
think, and
do
I think
serve a purpose,
as you've
definitely.
said, it's there are alternatives out there. In terms of the alternatives, like as you just said, you've got your destination in Cyprus that really suits you, which sounds idyllic, and I'm sort of quite curious now. How many people, what sort of percentage of people would you, in your experience, just with what you've been doing, people that you know anecdotally, what percentage of people would actually know about that kind of holiday as an alternative? Do you think many people would
Oh,
consider that as an
no, I don't. Not unless you're a experienced traveller. I don't think it's something that if you Google holidays, your
yeah.
package holidays are going to come up,
Mm.
and a lot of people want all inclusive or some sort of board basis included. You've got it. I would say it's a very small percentage of the mass market that are looking for those more remote or closer to the destination kind of product.
Yeah, I suppose it's you know exactly where you are with the all inclusive, and
Yeah,
it's
and some people want that.
yeah,
As we've said, it serves a purpose.
it's I think it's easier if you've got a
Yeah,
family, and
definitely.
I just, I'm just remember my own experience when I was a child. I've been we didn't go abroad for holidays. We were sort of British holidays. I'm of that age where we the British seaside resort was doing okay and actually sort of doing fairly well. But I do remember being dragged around museums,
Yeah.
and I don't recall being very much fun to be around, shall we say.
Yeah.
But my mum and dad may be able to verify or deny that. But I do wonder if that sort of holiday might be as popular with your sort of young children who are caught up in like sort of your Instagram culture. I mean, my kids, they like the photos to look nice on the beach, the tanning aspects. So taken very seriously. I had no idea about the amount of tanning products you could buy. For me, it's like, well, factor whatever, that'll do, and here we go. But there's
Yeah.
tanning accelerators, tanning enhancers, bronze, what? But yeah, you sound like you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But so in terms of, I suppose ultimately it's going to cost is going to be a factor. The sort of destination that you could find someone in Cyprus, if someone was thinking, well, I'm thinking about an all inclusive, and you were saying you just try to put to them a suggestion. I'm loath to use the term selling on, because ultimately that is what we do. We're in business, we sell our products. But if you thought this person, having got to know them, met them, think you might actually enjoy whatever, someone like yourself, you met someone like yourself, and think perhaps they should consider it. How would you put that to them?
I think I would just bring it into conversation. Say, have I told you about where I've been, and would you be of interest to you, or would you consider it? Yeah, I'm not afraid to bring it into conversation, but
No.
I mean, the place we go to in Cyprus in particular, it's a bit more remote, so people aren't necessarily always interested. And I have had
Yeah.
those conversations, but as soon as you mention car hire, sometimes that puts people off as well, and you need a car in that village.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, in terms of, I suppose, your cost versus your all inclusive, in your view, what do you think would work out most
I
expensive?
probably would say it works out very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't like sitting in the hotel and eating the same food every night. So I love going
No.
out and enjoying the different tavernas. So I'm happy to pay for the basic holiday and then have your money saved up to be going out and doing the food.
Yeah.
Whereas some people would rather pay for it all, and then if they decide to go out, then they will.
Yeah. So they know everything's covered.
Yeah.
It's so
So
a
it's
very
just a
different
different type
market.
of holiday, isn't
No,
it?
I suppose the little bit of little bit of a selfish inquiry there, obviously for next year. So,
Not at all.
but so you finished university,
Yeah.
passed your degree, obviously well topped up from HND, so you got the two qualifications there. What was the next step for you after that?
So after that, I managed to get myself a job straight on the high street.
Right.
In Hexham, I worked for Callus Pegasus.
Oh,
Don't know whether you
Are
can
they still?
remember them.
Are they
They're not
around?
still
No.
going. No. So when I worked for them, they had been bought by Thompson, which is now TUI.
Yes.
And I think not long after I left, they started rebranding the shops to Thompson shops, and then they're not around anymore. But yeah, I started off on the high street, so my first industry knowledge was your bucket and spade holidays.
Yeah.
The majority of what we were selling was that. Having window cards to do, which I used to love doing, last minute holidays. And yeah, again, I loved it.
I do remember the last minute, and we still see some last minute deals. Is that as big a thing now? Because
No.
I was going to say, because the emphasis now seems to be book early.
Absolutely.
And you get the best
You
prices.
do. You really do. The last minute doesn't exist. I can remember sitting writing £99 late deals out for the window. You wouldn't get anywhere. But we used to do allocation on arrival, and
Yeah, I remember them.
Nothing like that is around anymore. You could just do a quick search with dates in an airport, that you're departing from, and it would kick back loads of results. That just doesn't. I mean, you
Right.
can still do that on a
Yeah.
website, but yeah, those things don't exist anymore. And it is definitely better to book
in
earlier.
advance. What changed?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Was it the internet, do you think, or?
Possibly, yeah.
So I don't know if it still exists. I do remember lastminute.com and everyone getting
think
very
this-
excited, and
yeah.
then have they sort of cannibalised that market?
Maybe I don't deal with them, so I don't know
Right.
what kind of products they sell and what they advertise.
I don't even know if the website's still going, if I'm being honest.
And I
but,
genuinely can't remember
Yeah.
when there was that shift in the industry, but I think
No.
the internet was probably a massive
Yeah.
influence,
You
because
definitely did shift, as we've said, because obviously we both remember.
yeah. I think, and I do still say this, the internet makes people think that travel's easy because you can just tap online and start looking yourself. So yeah, maybe that was the shift.
Yeah. So,
But for a long time now, it has been better for you to book early.
yeah. So you're working for Callus Pegasus, and
Yep.
how long were you there for?
I think I was there just under 2 years. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Became assistant manager quite quickly at the shop. But then I made a decision to move from the northeast down to Brighton.
Right.
I was only 22 when I made the move, and when I moved to Brighton, I got a job with American Express, and I was working for their top card, which is the Centurion card. So I was then in a call centre, so it was a very different environment.
Right.
I'd been on the high street where I was customer facing, anything from your £99 window deals to your big
Yeah.
tailor-made holidays. And when I went to Amex, it was a lot of flights or hotel only, but it was luxury.
Yeah.
It was business class or first class, people with a lot of money. So it was just a completely different kind of client.
Did you enjoy that? I'm sort of sensing that you preferred the customer
I did prefer
facing.
the customer facing. Yeah, I enjoyed it at first. I enjoyed that it was different, but I missed doing the more fun holiday stuff.
Yeah, that's it. So I suppose that's the key thing, isn't it? Like you said, your business class, quite sort of clinical, quite formal.
Yeah.
Less fun.
Yeah. It's
But,
quite transactional.
Yeah. So what prompted you move down to Brighton then? Was that?
Well, I'd gone to university up here. When I left uni and obviously got my job, I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, and we bought a house that was literally down the road from my mum. And I guess I felt a little bit trapped in that I hadn't done anything because I hadn't gone travelling. I'd stayed in the same area to study and get the job, and I just wanted to explore a little bit. And I can remember saying to my mum, who was upset about me moving, "Oh, it's okay if it doesn't work out in Brighton, I can get my work visa for Canada."
Yeah.
So I'll go to Canada if it doesn't work out. That probably didn't go down very well when she was upset. I mean, I didn't do that.
So
I stayed
where are you
in
from
Brighton.
originally?
I grew up in Walsingham.
Ah, right. So you're originally from the northeast, and
Yeah.
then right. I understand now.
Yeah.
So right, yeah. So Brighton is quite far away, but not as far as Canada.
Exactly. And I had a friend there who said, if you can get a job, we've got a spare room. And
Oh,
so
brilliant.
that's how it happened.
Yeah.
I got the job and I was like, I'm moving. See you later.
No, because I mean,
And I stayed
Brighton's
down
lovely.
there for 19 years. I didn't
wow.
expect that. Yeah. Been back in the northeast for 18 months now.
All right. So can I ask what prompted the move back up?
Yeah. I'm very close to my gran, who is 93.
Wow.
And I wanted to be closer to her, but I also wanted to be closer to the rest of my family as well.
Yeah.
Which is what the move has ultimately done.
Fantastic stuff. So were you working for American Express all that time, or?
No, I worked for them twice, and I had a job in between for a college in Brighton where I did some teaching and ran a travel agency there.
Oh, bit of teaching. So we teach in your
Travel and
subject.
tourism, yeah.
Right.
And I was lucky enough that with that job, they put you through your PGCE.
Right.
So I got my teaching qualification at the same time as doing that job.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy the teaching?
I did it first, but then I actually realised that I missed the buzz of selling travel.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the pupils that you would have taught presumably would have been, was it GCSE or A level?
It was further education, so
Right, okay.
typically 16 to 18
Yeah,
year
so
olds.
you're not dealing with the younger teenagers
No.
with that subject, but right, so the further education qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you and then you went back to American Express
Back
after
to
that.
Amex after that, yes.
Was that to your old job or was that a different?
It was the same kind of role, but it was for a different department. So when I was first with Amex, I was working for the people who pay in pounds.
Right.
And when I went back, it was the clients who pay in dollars and euros.
Right.
So they tended to be overseas where they were based anyway, but
Was
they
that
had even more money.
right?
And they quibbled less over what they were spending.
Right. I think you tend to find that, don't you?
Yeah.
A bit more. We're not so bothered. Just get.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, it's a typical business thing, isn't it? It's, sort of a quality service price. If you've got all the money, you don't need to worry about the price. You want that service, and that becomes really important.
Yeah, it does.
And if you can get those big ticket clients, then you're not going to be worried too much about the money. So, but so you've sort of hinted that you said that you preferred the actual customer facing, the fun holiday side of things to when you first went back to Amex. When you returned, was it pretty much the same, or was there any?
It did feel different. I think the clients helped because they were different to the UK clients. Yeah, I did enjoy it when I went back. I can't describe anything else other than I guess it must have been the cardholders that made the difference.
Yeah.
Because the product itself was exactly the same and what we were selling was exactly the same, but I definitely did prefer it when I went back.
Did you find that they were much more focused on your service, in which case you were able to deliver the service for them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And sort of feel that sort of rewarding kind. That's and so what point did you? Because it's been a relatively focused career, really, hasn't it? I suppose even your foray into teaching, you're still within that umbrella.
Yeah.
And interesting, I think, as well to me, because like for me, I've kind of dotted all over with my career, but for you, it's like sort of right. I want to be a vet. That's not really happening. Second decision, it's really envious, to be honest.
Thank you.
That's my flaw. It's that sort of focus thing.
Yeah.
Because I've got that many interests and things like that. It's I mean, it is amazing. I mean, did you see way back at school or university? Did you ever think you would want to work for yourself?
When I first started on the high street, that's when I decided I wanted to have my own business one day.
Right. Okay. What prompted the decision? Because I mean, I'll tell you why I'm asking this, and what I'm curious about is often with when I'm talking to people about their motives for starting on their own. Some people like myself, it's like they're just absolutely fed up and sick of the job, not enjoying it, and in which case, it's not really a brave decision because you've kind of got to get out of what you're doing. You need to break free almost. And other people, they do actually quite like what they're doing, and it's shall I, shan't I? And then I think that's where the courage comes into it.
Yeah, I would say I'm there.
You're there.
Yeah, I would say that's where I fall. Yeah, I was looking through one of the travel papers. I can remember it. I was sitting in the back office having my lunch, looking through a travel paper, and there was something about being a home worker. And at that point, you needed, I don't know, 2 or 5 years experience in the travel industry, which I didn't have at that point because I'd just come into the job. So it had always been kind of there in the back of my head about running my own business from home within travel.
Yeah.
But, something that wasn't really ever thought about until I had my second child. And that's when I looked at it again, and I looked at 2 companies, one of them being Travel Counsellors, and it just didn't feel right after I had our second daughter. So that's when I went back to Amex for the second time. And then when I had my third daughter, it came back to the surface. I just thought, I don't know how I'm going to be able to, I was travelling to Brighton 3 days a week, and I was 12 and a half hour days minimum. 3 days a week, and I struggled when I'd had 2 children at home. So I thought, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this with 3 children. One of them obviously being a baby. So I started looking at it again, and every time I was asking questions and having the answers given back to me, it wasn't putting me off. Whereas the first time I'd looked at it, it just didn't feel right.
Right. So in terms of your motivation, was it the flexibility?
The flexibility, obviously, I'd already wanted to have my own business, so that drive was already there. But I think by the time...
In terms of your initial drive, just because you said you'd already wanted to, what was it that drove that? Because I suppose
just being my own boss and having my own business.
Right. So just control of your own life and control your own destiny. Right. Fantastic. So you've and you started with Travel Counsellors as soon as you got back to
after
the
I had
Northeast?
Emily. No, so Emily's my youngest. She's 10 in January. Actually, my anniversary with Travel Counsellors is this week, so I'm celebrating 9 years this week.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So when she was 10 months old, that's when I was due back to work, and that's when I took the leap of faith into self-employment. And I turned up with no customers, but a lot of drive, I guess, to build a business. And here I am 9 years later.
Wow.
With an established business that I'm really proud of.
That's fantastic. So how did you make it happen?
A lot of networking, a lot of pushing myself out of my comfort zone, talking to people, telling them what I do, and asking them to refer me on.
Right.
Just a lot of that.
Yeah. I've heard of Travel Counsellors. I didn't realise they'd actually been going as long as it seems they have. They're a franchise.
Yes,
is that correct? So
that's right.
So what prompted your decision to choose to be a travel counsellor, as opposed to just thinking, right, there's a shop, I'm going to buy a desk and I'm going to sit in there? And
I didn't want to be tied to a 9-to-5 job. 2 of my children at the time, obviously Emily was 10 months, Bethany was only 2.5, so they were quite small.
Yeah.
I still needed to be around for them, so I wanted the flexibility that Travel Counsellors offers you.
Right.
Some of the other home workers expect you to be logged onto your phone or your computer for certain hours of the day, whereas Travel Counsellors don't do that. They don't tell you what hours you should work. They recommend you work full time, but they're not breathing down your neck and checking on you. You are very much self-employed, and it is very much your own business. So if you only do 5 hours a week, well, you're going to get out of it what 5 hours puts in, don't you? But it allowed me to put in what I could afford time-wise when I had 2 small children at home, and grow the business that was manageable with 2 small children at home. And then, they're both at school now, and so I do have every day that I can.
And so you can put a bit more in.
Yeah.
And
but
get
it's
a bit
built
more
around
out.
my family.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yes, absolutely. It's so I mean, there's a clear motivation there for you in that respect, then, isn't it? It's about the flexibility and ability to do what you need to do. So, can you tell me a little bit more about Travel Counsellors as a company?
So we're celebrating 30 years this year. So we have an annual conference every November. So we are celebrating 30 years of that, which is in 2 weeks' time. And when Travel Counsellors was set up, I guess it was set up because David Speakman, who set up the company, could see a shift from the high street to online booking, but also that there was a need for people to have a work-life balance. And so for us, that's what Travel Counsellors offers, because, as I've said, we choose our hours and all of that. But from a customer's point of view, it's all about having a personal relationship with the person that books your travel. So it's not transactional. It is very much about building a relationship with each person. And I'm very lucky, and I know a lot of TCs will say this, is that our clients become our friends. And again, I love that. I'm a people person, and I love going out and meeting people. And I love that I have got a lot of really lovely friends now through the back of having my own business.
So Travel Counsellors clearly served you fairly well in terms of what you were wanting, which was the flexibility. What's the ceiling with Travel Counsellors? Would you come to a point where you couldn't grow anymore? No. So the sky's the limit.
Definitely, exactly that. Yeah, there's so many different types of businesses within TC, and it is just that you can grow it to the size that you want it. And there's some extraordinary TCs out there that have got like incredible businesses compared to I mean, you can't compare them because everybody's business is personal to themselves.
I suppose everyone's getting what they want out of it as well, like you say. I mean, your main thing for you was the flexibility.
Yeah.
For other people, it might be they want to become super wealthy.
Yeah.
But from what you're saying, that is an option.
It is an option. Yeah. There isn't any limit on what we can earn.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of travel counsellors then, why, I suppose I'm asking for your sales pitch now. Why would you come, why would someone come to you rather than the high street, or I suppose most of the point searching online, because we mentioned that earlier on.
Yeah. So the ideal client for me is somebody who's time poor, firstly. So you don't want to be sitting spending hours on the internet.
Yeah.
Or you just like really good customer service. They're the two ideal clients for me. So yes, you could go into a high street agent, but they are 9 till 5, Monday to Saturday. What happens outside of those hours when something goes wrong? Again, the internet makes it very easy for people to look up their own travel and book it. But what do you do when something goes wrong? Because generally it's a call centre tied to certain hours.
Yeah.
You could then be stuck. So with us, you were never on your own. I say to my clients on an initial conversation, you've got me from now right up until you walk back through the door from your holiday, should you go on and book something with me. And that comes down to, I'll give you my mobile number when you're travelling. So if there's any little thing, you can get in touch with me. We've also got a 24/7 duty office, and they're there for assistance should things be going wrong when you're travelling. You're never left on your own.
Is that not a real constraint on your time though? I mean,
It can be.
Do you often find yourself waking up at someone's ringing up ranting to you at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Not in the middle of the night. I mean, I do tend to have my phone on silent, but that's where the duty office step in as well, because obviously there are a lot of different time zones across the world.
So you've got that support and those
We've got that
procedures
support,
in
and
place.
so have the client. So and I'll say that, it could be the middle of the night, so you might not get me, but you've still got the duty office who are going to be able to assist you.
Yeah.
And that is what they're there for. But, I was shopping yesterday afternoon and I had a client ring me about their transfer on arrival. And I was able to assist them, while I'm out shopping on a Sunday afternoon. If you booked online or in a high street agency, you wouldn't have had anybody. You're not going to have that. And then it's just making travel really easy for you. So again, yes, you could sit online, but how many hours can you lose going down a rabbit hole trying to find the right holiday for you? So you come and have a conversation with me, and I want to get to know you and your likes and your wants and your needs for your travel. And then I go and do all of the hard work. So I'm the one who spends the hours researching and planning. And we're more than a travel agent. I don't like being called a travel agent. We're a travel... I think the best way to describe us is a personal travel planner, but we act more like the tour operators. So the majority of the time, I'm building your holiday to suit your needs. So I'm not selling you something that the internet or the high street agent sells you.
I think it's interesting now as well with the internet. There seems to be a dynamic within the internet that's changing. Because I think as a business, you'll know about search engine optimization, and people are just gaming that system so much that whenever you search now, you can see that people have written blogs just for clicks and things like that. And Google's, it doesn't say, I mean, even Amazon, things seem to be changing. It's like, sort of when you search for something, and Google and Amazon, a lot of the big players, they're starting to throw up what they want you to, or what advertisers are wanting you to see.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's potential within there that whilst you're saying you're looking for someone that is after the service, and I mean, I don't think it's controversial saying, well, we've already mentioned, sort of a quality service price pick too. It's impossible to get all three. You can't possibly get all three in any business. But there certainly is that opportunity that you may find just by dint of your experience and lucky, you might actually be able to save a few pounds on what someone might find on. I think it was Expedia was the one I used. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
Yeah, they're still around.
but you are doing a lot of the legwork yourself.
Yeah, and it's also having that knowledge, as you've said, to know whether something is going to be right or not for you. So, there's over 1,000 of us in the UK, and if I don't know a destination or a product, I've got somebody that I can ask that question. And just being able to say, well, I know where that's located, I don't think that's right for you, or that's a fantastic property, it might be a little bit more than you want to spend, but that is the experience that you're wanting to get.
Yeah.
The internet isn't going to tell you that.
No, and I think it seemed to, at a point, it was going to be able to, but now it seems to have come back because obviously the internet's got bills to pay as well. So,
yeah.
so So basically, that's why someone should use, or that's the difference in using someone like yourself. Obviously, that service, that attention to detail, someone that can look after you and not leave you high and dry.
Yeah, you never left high and dry with us.
Right. That's which is reassuring, I think, for anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in terms of where you're going from here, you say you can grow to whatever size you want. You've been focused, I think, pretty much on the flexibility. That's been what's right for you. You don't sound like you're going to be leaving Travel Counsellors anytime soon.
I've got no plans to leave.
No plans. Where do you what do you think is going to be the way forward for you from here?
So my business is primarily leisure travel. So I'm definitely wanting to grow the leisure side. As I've said, I've been back in the Northeast for 18 months now, so I am growing my network up here. Still don't know a lot of people compared to down south, still building the customer base up here.
Yeah.
So that's one focus. But the other part of my business is business travel. And I do enjoy business travel. It keeps the business ticking over. So for the last year, I've had a real drive on building the corporate travel side of the business as well. So it's just, again, going out and meeting people and having those connections with somebody who may know of somebody who travels for business. And is there an opportunity there that I can assist with that? And
Simple as that. So the networking groups are going to be useful to you in
they are,
that respect,
definitely.
right? Great stuff. So in terms of your own experiences, because I mean you've with your degree, with your own personal travels, which has been the most useful to what you're doing now?
For probably the personal travels, because it's so much easier to sell a destination to someone if you've got that first-hand experience and knowledge.
So I'm going to put you on the spot now. In fact, we'll put you on the spot twice. How many countries have you visited?
Oh, I don't know. Not enough.
Right. Okay. That's and this in terms of your favourite destination, have you already told me it? Is it Cyprus, or do you have another favourite?
No, I love Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to Australia next year and I'm very excited about that because I've not been to Australia yet.
Right. Okay. Whereabouts in Australia?
We're going to Melbourne. We've got friends over there.
Right.
We moved back there last year.
I love Melbourne.
So we're going to visit them. Yeah, I'm very excited.
I love
about
Melbourne. That was myself and my wife. We went backpacking for a year, sold everything, and just went around the world.
Wow.
And we ended up in Melbourne was the place we spent the longest time.
Really.
And it was just fantastic. What I love about Australia is like you've got this, you could just walk everywhere to whatever event you want, whether it's to go see Kylie Minogue, whether it's to go see Australian rules football, whether it's want to see the Australian Open tennis, like sort of. I think we paid $5 Australian to get in and watch Greg Rusedski, Anna Kournikova for a full day in Australia.
That's mental.
It is, yeah. And it's just so much more chilled out and relaxed, or it was. I mean, I'm talking about quite a long time.
Yeah.
But so you're looking forward to that?
Really looking forward to that.
I bet you are. I'm really jealous. But no, so ploughing on, carrying on the business, continuing the networking, and developing each side as we go. Well, Claire, I think it sounds like you're living your dream, to be honest.
Thank you. It does
really
feel like
does.
that at times.
Yeah, and it's I mean, travel. Like I say, I have my own passion for travel, and I can completely understand that. So all I can say is I wish you well, just carrying on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.